Hi, and today is Tuesday, day 22 of Bible Books Challenge. Have you got them all right so far, or have you been finding them quite a challenge? I know on my conversations with a number of people that I know that some of them are quite hard to get. I get that, but I hope you're still having lots of fun with it as well, and that you're enjoying sharing with one another about the Bible Books Challenge and the things that you've been learning. I have mentioned previously, but one of the important things for us when we're looking into the Bible is not to just see it as gaining of information. It's not about our information. I have mentioned this before. There's a famous theologian from many years ago who actually coined a phrase: the Bible is not for our information, it's for our transformation. And certainly my prayer is that as you're going through this fun activity, that you are actually learning lots of things, but actually it is transforming you. I think that God is doing a wonderful thing at this very challenging time for us in giving us the chance to spend more time in His Word and to learn from Him, and I hope that's been true for you too. We have been using these pictures, haven't we, as we've gone through all the different days. We've been using them to get to know the different books of the Bible, and hopefully you've had a lot of joy and a lot of fun as you've done that as well. And I do hope that you've been sharing with others as well, not just maybe in your own home, but friends that you've got as well, and maybe through social networking you're able to share with them some of the things you've learned. Pass on this resource to them as well and give them the chance to have some fun as we delve into the Bible and learn more about it. Well, the pictures I left you with yesterday, there were two of them, pictures 6 and 7 in the New Testament. Our first picture, here it comes. You can see that there are a number of moths around, but there's one particular moth. Although there's lots of them, there's one with a tie. So, although there are many kinds of moth, this one here is a tie moth. And this one tie moth is to help us remember a letter in the New Testament, a letter written by Paul to a dear friend who was much younger than him. You may well have guessed and worked it out for yourself. It's 1 Timothy. He's leading the other moths, this particular moth in the picture, and he's using the Bible. So he's helping them to understand godly leadership, and that's what Paul was writing about. Paul had written to many of the early churches. He was now contacting church leaders as it was time for him to pass on the baton. That's a phrase we use when we talk about passing on the experience and the knowledge and the information that we have to others so that it doesn't go with us. And Paul was doing that. He wanted the next generation, of which Timothy was one of those leaders and a dear friend too, and he was based in the church in Ephesus. Paul wanted to pass on to him his knowledge and understanding and wisdom. Paul talks about practical issues in the letter, issues such as public worship services and setting an example to all believers in his faith and lifestyle. Even though Timothy was very young, Paul wanted him to set an example in those things and to be a leading light within the church in setting them that example. So that's 1 Timothy, or 1 tie moth. Here's your next picture then. This one is a bigger book in the New Testament. It's not a letter, it is a book, this one. And you may already see that you've got the man, a doctor, looking at a perfect man who's got 10 out of 10. Everybody in the background is giving him 10 out of 10. This doctor, well, it doesn't say the name there, but we know his name. He is called Luke, and he's looking at a man who has 10 out of 10 from everyone. Indeed, this is the third of the 4 Gospels. He's written by Luke, as we've already identified, a doctor. Gospel means good news. And Luke in particular wanted everyone to know that Jesus was the perfect man who never did anything wrong at all. This is, of course, the book of Luke, and is one of the collection of the 4 New Testament books known as the Gospels. And I've said to you already, this word means good news, and it's the good news of Jesus. Luke was a non-Jew, and the word in the Bible that is used is he was a Gentile, and that means a non-Jew. But he was also rather clever. We would call him an academic. So we wanted to make sure that every detail, that he researched it carefully and checked it out before he wrote everything down. So Luke includes loads of parables, some not mentioned in the other Gospels, like the Good Samaritan and the prodigal son. He is also the only one to mention a man called Zacchaeus. Have you heard of him before? He was a little man. We'll maybe come across him again, but he was a tax collector. Maybe the inclusion of these stories shows us that he supported the underdog, and the ones that we've spoken about just then are all considered to be underdogs. So that's the third book of the New Testament. That's Luke, the Gospel of Luke, the good news of Luke about Jesus. And maybe you know that Luke wrote another book. We haven't had that one yet, but maybe you can do some research if you don't already know. What other book did Luke write? There we go. And now here's your next two pictures. So we've got a P and a, well, it's, you could say a dolphin, but I have it on good authority that this one is a porpoise. And so there's that picture, and then here's your last picture from your two for tomorrow, when I'll give the answers tomorrow. And we've got, well, again, say what you see. What can you see? What is he doing? What is he? What kind of character is that? And see if you can work it out. So that's our two pictures for today. I hope, again, as I said earlier in this video, that you are learning so much and that your relationship with God is deepening. You will notice on my next slide that my email address is at the bottom. I would love to hear from you. Maybe give me an email and let me know how you're doing. Maybe let me know what is your favourite book so far. Maybe your favourite in the Old Testament and your favourite so far in the New Testament. That would be lovely to hear from you. But apart from that, I would say have lots of fun, enjoy your time as you look at the Bible Books Challenge, and stay safe. God bless.